Hi, my name's Anna Casper, and I'm going to assume that you found this video because you're wanting some tips and tricks based in psychology to change your behaviour, and there are some real principles that can be applied. And the example I'm going to use is that you'd like to complete an ocean swim, and that's not something you've ever done. So, the first thing, complete a functional assessment. This is something you do before you ever go anywhere near the beach, and you write down all the aspects of the behaviour that you might already have. You can already swim strongly because you've been doing laps. You've got goals, you've got swimmers that'll survive the surf. And then that lets you also identify what's the behaviour that you're going towards. So very clearly write down the goal. That would be the second thing. Write down your goal. Now, to achieve that, there's something called the subjective units of distress scale, and it's a really useful tool. It lets you do your own. Subjective means it's yours. You complete a subjective units of distress scale for the desired behaviour. Here's one I prepared earlier, and I'll just talk to it, and hopefully you can see that on the screen. You can see at the bottom, at 1, is floating in the ocean baths, totally relaxed with no stress at all. Now you complete each one of these items all the way through. In the middle, you might have going out behind, standing in calm water, like out behind the surf, all the way out the back and swim back in. And then all the way to the top, where you will have on this scale, it's the most fear imaginable. You can't function. You're swimming out through surf, along the beach, behind the surf and back in. So that is your subjective, your SUD scale for fear of swimming in the ocean. That tool is now going to let you go on to the third thing, which is desensitization trials. It sounds clinical, but it just means that you're allowing your body and your brain to catch up with what the anxiety is. You've written it all down, it's there, and you're progressively going to move up that SUDS hierarchy, up that scale, and try out, experiment, let yourself practice, take some breaks, and move up that SUD scale. Some really important things about the SUD scale: it's your own subjective levels. It doesn't matter what other people think is a 9 or a 10, it's your own scale. A second thing is you go up to the next level only when you're comfortable. You don't jump in at 9 and just go, right, I'm going to bust through and do this. It's about steady desensitization, letting yourself feel confident before you move on. Something else about that scale is social support is really important. Somebody that can go along with you, ring you, remind you that you're wanting to do a swim, so come along and let's go. The social support's important, and that person can reinforce your behaviour to you. Doing the behaviour will reinforce it to you anyway. But hearing somebody else say, look, you already did a little bit more of this behaviour that you're wanting to do. You've gone all the way out through the waves and back in once. We can do it again tomorrow. That's strong reinforcement for the desired behaviour, which is moving towards completing an ocean swim. Something else is that the SUD scale lets you, your own cognitive recollection, your own mind recall of what you're doing is concrete, and you can see it on the scale as you move up that scale. And so then at some point you're going to feel comfortable, I would predict, if you take time and friends and all the rest, that you can get all the way to that 10 on that subjective unit of distress scale, and you'll be ready for an ocean swim at some point in the spring. And now a final thing, which I'd say is it's really important to acknowledge that the behaviour change has occurred. Celebrate that, mark it, take your goals, stick it up on your wall, and make sure you celebrate that you've been able to complete that new behaviour with all these principles. Good luck.